This is the Safe Secure 360 podcast. There is safety in numbers.
This is the Safe Secure 360 podcast. The information provided in our podcasts is for general information uses only and is not intended as legal advice. The views and opinions expressed by the guests are their own. Always consult with a qualified professional before making safety and security decisions. For more information about this topic, check out our website at safesecure360.com.
Welcome back to the Safe Secure 360 podcast, where we try to engage our listeners in talking about safety and security matters to make your life much easier. Today, our topic is road rage, how to identify it, what to do, and how to avoid situations which may be dangerous for you.
Well, Robert, let's go ahead and start with defining what is road rage. What are the signs of it, and what does it look like in everyday life?
I think today, especially in metropolitan cities, everyone is on a tight time schedule. They have somewhere to be, they have somewhere to go, and sometimes they do not plan adequately to give them enough time to get there. So their theory may be that I'm going to make up that time as I'm driving. But then things happen. A lot of times additional traffic may occur that was unexpected. Road maintenance and construction may occur that was unexpected. Weather may impact drive times. So as these drive times begin to increase in time that you were not expecting, so does a person's stress and anxiety level. So I think that when a person's stress and anxiety level increases and they're driving a motor vehicle with other people and other road hazards and conditions, it becomes a very volatile place for small things to be blown out of proportion. And now the person driving becomes more anxious, perhaps even angry, and then focuses or directs that anger towards another driver. And that's how this all begins.
So there's stress on the road already. I've noticed in my drive, there are more people on every road I drive down than there were last year, and it seems to keep going that way. So these stressors are amplifying inconveniences and turning them into conflicts. And it's one thing for someone to yell in their car or to, be upset and hit their steering wheel. That's maybe an appropriate reaction to being upset. But it's another thing when someone starts to take an act to retaliate against you or to take an act against you. What do these acts look like, and what can you do when you're watching someone express their road rage towards you?
Well, there are certainly different levels of anxiety and of you dealing with that or unable to deal with it, and then you begin to externalize your anger and anxiety and perhaps rage towards other people. It can be as simple as someone putting their brakes on abruptly for some unknown reason, or it could be that someone in front of you cuts you off or doesn't use a turn signal and enters your lane. Any of those things, which are very common, could be either processed as it's just part of the traffic flow, or it could be personalized, where you feel like that person is doing this to you on purpose, and then you feel like you must have some type of reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And that's how this continuum begins. It can be very subtle at first, talking to yourself, commenting on the person's driving habits and what they just did, and then it can escalate from there to where you're perhaps yelling or trying to communicate with them or giving them some type of symbol or showing them some anger or rage with a fist or your finger. So that's the next level. And then you begin engaging the vehicle as a tool of your anxiety. So now you begin following too close. You begin accelerating inappropriately. You begin moving left and right out of the lane like you're going to pass them. If you're behind someone who is causing this interpretive road rage. If you're the person in front, you may begin brake checking the person or applying your brakes inappropriately, and then having the person behind you react to that. And all of those are stressful moments that have unpredictable outcomes in the end, because you don't know who that person is in front of you or behind you. You don't know what their stress and anxiety level is. You don't know what they've experienced that day. So it's very risky behavior. And it happens a lot. In 2020, in Texas, where we're from, 1,300 car crashes, the Texas Department of Transportation says occurred because of road rage or some type of interpersonal conflict between yourself and another driver.
That is an outrageous thing, that these, these things that are annoying, they're getting amplified and turning into police matters and accidents and acts of violence against each other. When you're driving, I'm a pretty I like to be a defensive driver. And if my personal thing is, if somebody's acting weird in front of me, I sort of just give them the space to be weird in front of them. What are some other strategies that you can do to keep yourself safe if you're noticing the people around you? Road rage is sort of contagious. And if somebody starts driving wild, it can affect the people around you. So what are some strategies as you're driving through and you're noticing that the people around you aren't driving so safely? How can you yourself take care of your people as you're driving?
I think it begins with yourself and your vehicle. I think it begins with planning on your part as far as time goes. Look at social media, look at the local news, talk to friends and family who may be driving those same roads and say, did you remember today they're closing that road? Or you remember today school is back in and it's going to make more vehicles on the road, dropping off kids or picking them up. And it's also going to decrease speed limits. So I think a real good idea in the front end is to give yourself plenty of time. Leave early to avoid those types of delays which ramp up anxiety. And I think staying calm is another really good way of doing it. Some people are better at that than others, but I think staying calm, and if someone's in the vehicle with you and they're encouraging you to take some type of offensive driving maneuver, don't do it. Stay calm and stay alert and stay aware of what's going on around you, because the road environment can change very rapidly. And this person that you are interpreting as someone who's having road rage, it's hard to say what they'll do. We don't know if they're intoxicated. We don't know if they're just angry. We don't know if they are high on some substance. We don't know what happened to them today. Did they lose their job today? Is there a medical emergency they're having? We don't know. But the best thing and the best advice I can give you is to give them some space and allow yourself options as far as maneuvering your vehicle away from that incident before it becomes tragic.
That is great advice. I hear you saying give yourself extra time ahead of time so that you can accommodate for somebody having a bad day and slowing you down. If you go extra time, you can slow down and not be so part of the cluster that is everyone driving around in one unit. You can sort of make some space on the highway for yourself.
SAFESECURE 360. We are a security consulting group located in the Woodlands, Texas. We assist our multiple clients by reducing the risk, loss, and reputation impact. We also do full security assessments on their facilities, large churches, large private schools in Texas, and we want to help you. Take a look at our website, safesecure360.com.
There are different conditions throughout the day as people drive. There's, the rush hours at 8 a.m. and at 5 p.m. There's sunset, and there's where it starts to look different. The colors change. Are there special considerations to take during different times of day as you're driving through traffic?
Yes, I think in a certainly in a major metropolitan city where we live in the Houston area, traffic begins on the freeways and on major roadways around 6 a.m. in the morning, or sometimes even before that. The majority of the traffic, though, begins around 6 a.m. during a workday and lasts until around 9 a.m. It begins again in the afternoon at around 3 p.m. and lasts until around 6:30 or 7 p.m., where there's an exaggerated number of people on the road. With daylight savings time, our days are getting shorter as far as light. So when you're driving early in the morning, it may be light. And you're driving during the day, it may be lit. When the light is out, you're able to perceive road hazards easier. You're able to see debris in the roadway. You're able to see things that you can react to and not damage your vehicle or have to take some abrupt maneuver to maneuver away from something. When night comes and it's darker, it's more difficult to do that. In the daytime, if someone doesn't have brake lights, it's easier to perceive that they're stopping. At night, if they do not have brake lights, which is common sometimes, or maybe not have any lights at all, it's more difficult to predict that they're stopping and thereby give you time to react and to slow down also. So I think that the peak driving times and the congestion of driving with other drivers occurs twice on a work week day, early in the morning and then later in the afternoon. However, the weekends still present driving challenges also. And the weekends, typically, there are more drivers who may be intoxicated when they drive. So those are all things to think about. But I think that having your own driving plan is a good idea. And because you cannot predict what someone or something like our construction event may occur. So giving yourself plenty of time is a great idea.
When we're interacting with other people, ideally you could drive at a time where there'd be nobody on the road. You wouldn't have to deal with road rage at all. But that's not realistic for most people's lives. There are places to be. And like I said, everybody's busy. And everyone around you has had their own day. People have had good days or bad days. They saw an old friend and went and had a drink. Whatever it is, when you're driving and you notice somebody driving poorly, it looks like that person's swerving in and out of lanes, or this person just keeps cutting off everybody. What can you do about that? Is that, I feel like in some cases, calling in that may prevent an accident from happening or create some safety. So what would be the right process to call in somebody swerving between lanes or driving recklessly if that were something I felt like calling?
Certainly, it does not take a driving expert or a law enforcement officer to be able to interpret that that's just not right, or that is dangerous, or what is that guy or girl doing? Why are they doing this? You're trying to figure this out. And remember, I think that the more common times for these road rage incidents to occur are when there's more opportunities of people together. So I think that driving to work and driving home from work, much higher. So I think that if you observe some type of driving characteristic that someone is doing that appears unsafe, my first answer would be to avoid it. Give them space, slow down, let them go, let them leave where you are. You cannot control them. You cannot influence them to stop or to slow down or stop doing whatever they're doing, whether it's an unsafe lane change or they're following too close or they're accelerating inappropriately or they are trying to push someone off the road. All those are common things, speeding. All those are common things that happen. So I think that when you see that, if you can get away from it, I would do so. All right, let's say that you can't get away from it. Let's say that you're blocked in traffic, you can't get away, and someone is doing something perhaps not with excessive speed, but with inappropriate positioning of their vehicle. They're using their vehicle to frighten someone or scare someone or try to impact someone. That's very dangerous, even at a slow speed. So I think that when that happens, I think that two things really, if you're safe to do so, if you can safely do it, if you're so slow that you can safely do it, I would take a picture of that car. If you can get the license plate, that's even better, or a short video. If someone else is in the car with you, let them do it so you can maintain driving. I'm not encouraging you to divert from your driving duties. That's the most important. But if you can take a small video of this or get the picture of the vehicle with perhaps the driver or just the license plate number, that's a great start. Because now you have some evidence about who it is you're going to report if that's your intention. So then if the driver is so unsafe that you feel like, look, this is really bad, and an accident's going to occur, someone's going to get hurt, or it's even worse, I encourage you at that point to contact 911 and dialing 911 and telling them information that you're experiencing, who you are, where you are, how fast you're driving, and what is going on. Who is this person? What are they driving? What's the license plate number? Are they male, female? If you can tell, you may not be able to because of tinted windows. But if you can tell their description, that's good to pass on. And what are they doing? What are they doing, in your opinion, not as a trained traffic safety expert or law enforcement officer, but what, in your opinion, are they doing that is causing you this anxiety, that's causing you to call 911? And by calling 911, what do you expect to happen? Is it your goal that you want the police to know about this? Do you want the police to be on the lookout for this vehicle? Do you want the police to stop them and interview them and see what's going on? Yes, that's why you're doing it. So first, distance. Keep away from the incident. If you can't get away from it and it's just continuing to occur, if you can safely do so, snap a photo, a short video, and then 911. Tell them what's happening, where you are, who you are, and what you have seen, and tell them you have a picture or you have a video of this driver. And then things will happen from there on the 911 police side.
But first and foremost, the best idea when you're seeing road rage is just to give yourself some space. Let yourself get away from the incident a little bit, and then you can observe better what's going on as well. What I hear you saying is basically it's a way that you think. It's if you're prepared for whatever can happen, if you're aware of what might happen and you prepare for it, you probably don't have to take such a big reaction and you can respond appropriately to things. So if you give yourself a little extra driving time, especially during rush hour, if you see something odd and give yourself a little bit space, you're probably in a safe place. And if you can keep yourself calm in the car when other stuff, just remember everybody is having a day too. If you can do all those things, you're probably in a much safer spot to make good decisions than if you're rushing, you're like having to be close to other people and then you're not calm. It seems like a much safer way just to give yourself some leeway with that. It seems like great advice. Is there anything else people should know about road rage? Is there any other sign that we should be aware of, or any other closing ideas you have about road rage or about driving around other people?
I think patience is a very important component. But sometimes you can't control what other people are going to do. You can just be driving your vehicle. It's not rush hour. It's just daytime traffic or nighttime traffic. You look in your rearview mirror, here they come. And they come right up on your bumper, and they could be honking their horn or flashing their lights or whatever they may be doing. And then how do you react and respond to that? Again, my advice is slow down, try to get out of their way, let them go. But it can escalate from there sometimes. You don't know this person's motives. You don't know what stress they're under. You don't know if they're armed with a firearm. The vehicle itself is a tremendous weapon that could cause serious injury to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing you can do, in my opinion, to avoid road rage is to just plan ahead, be patient, stay out of the way if you can. If you cannot, then follow the steps of reporting that incident. But it's important, if you have children in the car with you, to use that as a learning moment, to allow them to see how this can happen and allow them to see the good response by you versus a panicked response. So it's a good way to show them, especially if they're beginning to be of driving age or they do drive, an appropriate response to road rage versus one that is risky.
We could, if everyone agreed to an appropriate response to driving, we could end road rage together by all taking a little step towards being more appropriate about our response to things. So that's a really inspiring thing, that show the people around you, especially kids in the car, what's going on as you're explain to them why you're reacting the way you are. Well, I think that's all great advice and great insight into what it is to drive on the road these days. And I want to thank you for talking us through these things. And we talked a bit about 911 calls today. If you're interested in hearing more about that, tune in next week where we talk about what happens when you call 911, who's answering, what's going to happen, what do you do, how can you be prepared? As always, thank you guys for watching. We do this for you and with you guys. Thanks for commenting and giving us such a good feeling about what we're doing. We really appreciate you guys out there. So thank you so much. I'm Daniel. This is Robert Henry, and this is the Safe Secure 360 podcast. We'll see you next time.
This is the Safe Secure 360 podcast. There is safety in numbers.